Hey everybody, Josh here. I'm a cybersecurity YouTuber and then the cybersecurity instructor at leveledcareers.com. And we have Mike here on the call. Recently went through the course and graduated and ended up getting a job. So thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Really appreciate being here.
Cool. So can I ask, what made you kind of decide to sign up for the cybersecurity course?
Well, I always had a long-term passion for cybersecurity. Trying to get into the field, as we know, has been very difficult between um, looking for experience and not having experience. So, kind of trying to find a happy medium. The crazy story before signing up for your course was I was literally about to sign up for another course the week of, and the course was like I was like, you're applying, you're not getting hits back, and I was going another route for another one of these kind of called boot camps,
Mm.
and the boot camp was like highly expensive, and then the guy on the call, he was like literally like trying to pressure me, like, oh, are you ready to pay, or here's your credit. If you don't have the money, don't you have a credit card? Or can't you put like 3 grand down today? I'm like, I need to think about this. So I
Damn.
was like, I need to sit back and think about it. It's like, I just ponder over it. And literally, it was like Friday night into Saturday morning, because I follow you on LinkedIn, and I saw your post. Your post like, hey, I have a new cybersecurity course coming out. It's going to be really good. It's going to be hands on. It's going to be lab. And I was like, you know what? Let me listen. So I locked in. I tapped into the. I went to the website. I went to the Levels Career, and I listened to your introduction, how you're gonna explain everything. You gave the whole syllabus. I was like, you know what, this doesn't sound bad. And then your price point was like your price point was way cheap. I was like, you know what, let me give this a shot. So I literally signed up. I think it was April 1st when you dropped the course, and he was like, yeah, if you sign up from now, and then the price will change at this time. So I just went and signed in. So once I signed in, I started just doing the course right away, just follow along, going through the theories, learning about the theories, and then going through the labs and then working through the labs. And you kept always saying, hey, you know what? If you get through these labs, try to do it over and over, and the repetition will help. If you build the repetition, it'll come later. You can explain it. And when you explain it in a job interview, you really sound like you know what you're doing. So I really just follow that model, like going through it, going through it. So it was like my thing was, if I'm not doing the labs, if I'm not doing the labs, I'm also just like listen to theory. So I'll be on the train ride to work. Just I'm gonna get my headphones on. I'm listening to you speak about theory, just going over NIST 800, 61,
Mm-hmm.
53 RMF frameworks, just over and over and over. So I was like, I was just drilling in my head. So between the labs, listening to theories, doing it over and over, it just helped. So that's pretty much what brought me here, and that's how I got here where I'm at.
Nice. You put in a lot of work. I didn't expect people to go over the theory part. A lot of times, it's really good that you did. So I'm happy to I'm
Yeah,
happy to hear that. It
it's
sounds like
it's
it
it's
worked.
really it's really important to go over the theory, because knowing the premise of why we're doing cybersecurity helps, instead of just, okay, I'm just going to jump and do the labs. Really have to know like what the frameworks that you're dealing with, between the net 61, 861, 800, the 30, 37, all the different theories. So it really helps to really know the ground of why you're doing this, and it's just, I feel like it was very important.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
curious. I won't. After the interview, I want to like ask you what the other course was because I'm like kind of curious
Right.
about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I'll definitely share that. I don't want to like, blast anybody through the internet, but yeah, it was crazy. I was like, oh my
yeah,
gosh. And yeah.
cool. So like before you actually jumped into the cyber course, you were already working in IT, right? Can you talk about like a
Yes.
little bit what you were
Yeah,
doing?
yeah. Yeah, so I guess my path is a little different. I do have like almost like 10 years of tech experience. I started off the basic help desk guy, and then I kind of worked my way up for desk side support, then work my way up to like a team lead. Then I first worked my way up to like doing like tier 3 work, was like kind of like between Sys Admin and the kind of like assistant administrator work. That was like my last role that I was doing for the last like 5+ years before like trying to join this course. And unfortunately for me, what was crazy, that I had got caught up in the layoff like last November, and I was looking for a job. While I was looking for a job, I actually had like I had one of these big banks reach out to me. In the news lately, there's all these banks are having problems,
Hmm.
kind of have with like, people like kind of removing and taking deposits away. So one of the banks had to reach out to me,
Oh.
and it was looking for someone in information security. It's like, you got the great background, you have a nice blend of system administrator, and we want to give you this role. So the role is going to be, and I was going to do like a access and identity administrator. So I was
Oh,
going to
nice.
IAM administrator for a bank. So I was like, cool, you know what? I
Mhm.
didn't even have to like. I was like, man, this is great. I'm getting into information security, and just because of my background, they wanted to get me in. So did everything, did interviews, signed an offer letter, everything like that. I'm ready to start. January comes, and they're like, yeah, we have to like kind of pull back and
Oh
we're
my
going on
god.
a year freeze. They were in a hiring freeze. I was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Oh
So
my god.
it was kind of working through it and trying to, get back on my feet and get things going. So luckily, like I said, between your course and of course being a tech, I was able to pick up another job. So I was working while I was still doing the course, but I always had in mind that I'm here for now, but I have a bigger purpose. I really need to get to my goal. And my goal is to be, in security. And funny enough, I always told myself that, before like I guess the cybersecurity world became the popular thing and the cloud was the cloud, I always told myself I wanted to be a cloud engineer.
Hmm.
I told myself probably like 7 years ago, I wanted to get into cloud engineering. I wanted to be a cloud engineer. And then, long and behold, here I am. I was able to land a role as a cloud engineer.
Oh, nice. Nice, nice. Is that the current role that you got now after going
Yes,
through the course? Okay, okay.
yes, exactly. The
Gotcha.
current role that I got.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. Were you applying for like a threat detection engineer, or is that a different job, or is that the same one?
That's the same, the threat detection engineer job. So, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, gotcha, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. Cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Do you remember like how long it took you to go through the course, like the initial time, like from the time, was it
Yeah.
April
Yep.
1st to the time
Yep.
you
So I
finished?
started. I started April. So I started about April 1st. So I would say about a month, right?
Okay.
So I probably finished around May. So even though I was finishing May, I still was kind of going through the course again a couple of times. And
Yeah.
then while going through the course, like, you know what? Let me. I got to the job section of the course and I started to like touch on my resume and just kind of like tweak it to an ATS structured resume, kind of going through and then picking the keywords. You had keywords. You say, hey, go through these keywords and you see, you'll get hits. You say, hey, you may land a job as a SOC analyst. You may like maybe land a job as a cloud engineer. You don't know
Yeah.
because the course is designed that you can hit it from every angle. So I was like, cool. In the Discord, when people have questions, I'll just go back to my lab, look to see what I did, and kind of like go in and answer questions. I'll use that as like way to like train myself, kind of creating that technical support. Using people's problems to kind of solve the issue will help me get better at the job.
That's so smart, by the way. I low key do that when people ask
Yeah,
me to do stuff. I kind of keep my environment intact so I
exactly.
can.
Yeah, that's the best way to learn. When the problems arise and you resolve it, that's how you learn. You learn better that way. If you just kind of go through it and just leave it alone, you won't learn. So I just leave it. I hear the problems. I go through the section, see where I'm at, and then see, okay, do this, do this, do this, and it'll help you, further along. So that's the way to retain the knowledge.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. This wasn't one of the intended questions, but did you happen to use that experience template, like where you help somebody and then you record it, and then you help someone and record it, or you didn't have to use that?
I didn't have to. I was doing that. I mean, I was doing that, but I was like, I just found more. I feel me. I just found more joy in just trying to figure out the problems that people had. And like, hey, you know what? They have a tech question. Let me see if I can answer it and just see if I can, solve the problem. Because solving the problem for them is also helping me. So that's what I just used it as, as a learning tool. So I think that
Yeah.
I'll recommend anybody who's doing a course, if you get through the course, stay in the Discord and then try to help the people who are maybe having some quick challenges because their challenges is going to be beneficial to you. So that way you kind of, gain some knowledge in terms of the what you're actually doing. You're really applying it because people are having problems. Hey, I'm stuck here. How do you do this? Okay, you do this, you go this, take these steps.
Yeah, that's 100%. I can get on board with that 100%. So like if for those who don't know or who are watching who don't know, there's like a component in the course where you fill out this template, and like if you want to do it, you can help someone and you kind of record like what you help them with and like the time and stuff. And if you
Mhm.
assist 10 people, you can get like a certain title from my personal company, and then 20
Mhm.
people another title, and 30 another title. And it's because you're actually like doing work, you're like paying like people, right, to do stuff and um,
Exactly.
troubleshoot their security stuff. So that's what Mike did here, and it worked out, or it helped quite a bit. It helps me even. I'm like the instructor, and I'm always like
Yeah.
learning stuff from helping the students. So
Yep. Definitely helps.
and then did you use that sheet with all the like all the keywords to find a job, or you didn't have to use
I
that?
did. No,
Okay.
I did use this sheet. It was funny because I used a sheet, and I don't know why. When you got to a section in terms of like when we're in log analyst workspace and we're working through KQL and just just learning how to use the different queries. For some reason, I kind of stuck to that section. You said, "Oh, don't really worry about that. If you know the KQL stuff, you don't know it." But somehow I was like, let me really learn this part. So I really was like learning that part. That I went to, the like your KQL cheat sheet. And I started like, let me started learning like the language because I needed to learn the syntax. 'Cause I know that in cybersecurity, everyone says you need to learn one syntax. Python is always the groundbreaking syntax that everyone tried to teach. But I was like, let me
Mm-hmm.
try to really learn this KQL language. I think it'll be very, very beneficial to me.
Mm-hmm.
So funny enough, like I went through the search, and I would apply for a job. Maybe I'll apply for like maybe like 5 a day, 10 a day, and
Mm-hmm.
then at first I was putting like information security analyst, and I was putting like SOC analyst, and I was like, you know what? Let me try use the keyword search. So I did. I just put and Indeed. I went to Indeed. I put KQL.
Mm-hmm.
Hit KQL, hit enter. A couple of jobs came up, and I just like hit up. And for me, I was going with I was going with the easy apply. So I was the easy apply, 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 and I did. So all of a sudden, I got a hit from a recruiter say, "Hey, you applied for a job here. Do you have time for a meeting?" I was like, oh, "Okay, sure." Yeah, and the
Is that
rest was like history.
that's the job you end up getting?
Yeah. So I had that, and I had another job, and I think the other job was they were looking for someone to be like an Azure Active Directory engineer, and that was a contract for Microsoft.
Oh
And that
damn,
was a
nice.
yeah. So it was a big one. They wanted me like do a couple of things. They wanted me like take an assessment and take a test, and then had to do a couple of rounds of interviews. And I was like, okay, it was hard to like you said, hey, write the jobs down because it's gonna get confusing because
Yeah.
they're gonna start hitting you up like you said when company A, yeah, company
Yeah.
A is this company and offering this pay, so you know that who you're talking to because you're gonna talk to so many people, so you have to like kind of keep up. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's good that you did that because a lot of people trying to get into cybersecurity, they don't really know like what to search for, so they'll just search like, yeah, like you said, like SOC analyst or like
Yeah.
information security or cyber or something like that. But there's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you can search like in NIST 861, NIST
Yeah.
837, like KQL,
Yeah.
SQL, SPL, like all these like obscure keywords, and
Yeah.
other people are like not searching those because they don't know. So I'll put like that thing on the sheet. But yeah, that's good that you did that.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. That really helped.
Do you remember like how many different places you had to interview with?
So for me, I interviewed. So I got. Let me see. I did two interviews. The other interview was weird because the guy he was looking for. So I got hit up on LinkedIn. A recruiter hit me up about, hey, we see your profile and there's a job opening and it's like, you could be a good fit. I said, all right. So I met with the gentleman and it wasn't information security. He was like looking for, it turns out he was a CISO and
Okay.
he was looking for a deputy CISO. But I'm like,
Um,
yeah, I'm not like, but he labeled it as a senior information security analyst. When
um,
in actuality, he was a CISO, but he's looking for a deputy. But in terms of, but his thing was he was looking for someone to do everything, and I was like, it was a difficult interview because he's asking me questions about things I would never heard of. I'm like, well, it was like it's going to be difficult because he was looking for someone who's like almost like a system administrator, someone who's tier three, someone who knows information security, someone who knows like servers, networks. I was like, man, this is like a little bit, too much. So I mean that I felt I knew it didn't go well, so I wasn't kind of like worried about it.
gotcha.
So yeah, so I literally did two interviews. That interview and the one that I landed the job.
That's
So that was it.
that's pretty good. That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
I mean, I didn't have to like go through like numerous amount of interviews. So
Yeah, I noticed this. People do that sometimes where they have like one job and it's actually like a CISO or something, but they
yeah,
describe it as something else to like
yeah,
try to.
way, yeah. Yeah, sometimes between that and recruiters are like try to like I guess kind of downplay a job, but then you talk to the people and it's like, man, they want more than the recruiters that actually told you, or vice versa. It's always like, no one's ever they're not really truthful.
Yeah, yeah, that's I know exactly what you mean, but
Yeah,
can you for the interview where you did actually end up getting hired, can you talk about that
yeah,
process a little bit? You don't have to say the exact questions, but maybe like
yeah, no, yeah, that's right. So really, so like I said, the talent acquisition manager reached out to me, said, "Hey, can you put some time in your calendar? Can we meet? Want to discuss the role?" So in that first interview, she pretty much like asked me like, "Hey, you know what? Do you know these skill sets? Whatever the job was asking for, like, or what kind of sims have you worked with? What kind of syntax language do you know? Or do you know what a SOAR is? Those different questions. I would say yes, no, and then give me examples where you're using. I would just kind of explain. I pretty much use the labs and the technical questions that people are asking to explain, different the spin
Mm-hmm.
ups. And then she's like, okay, cool. So she told me, listen, okay, well, we'll get back to you in a week, and if the hiring manager likes your resume, then we'll move you on. So literally, I did, and it was like 3, 4 days later, she hit me up saying, hey, you know what? Hiring manager impressed with your resume. They want to meet and have an interview. So I was like, oh
Nice.
man, this is really happening.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's so good. That's pretty
yeah,
fast too. Um,
yeah.
outside of the course, is there anything
Mhm.
else that you use that people might find useful, like any kind of things you studied or practiced or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, outside of the course, I really just like I really like if I tell you like just locked in on the theory because really understanding the cybersecurity world is just to understand. Of course, you have to know the CIA triad and just understanding what the CIA triad is and just really understanding like what is it that we're trying to do. We're trying to protect data. At the end of the day, we're trying to protect data from bad people from trying to exploit and infiltrate it. So just realizing that most people on the defensive side a blue team or if you're a red teamer, but in the overall goal is to protect data. So how do we go about doing it? So and when you work for different companies, everyone has a different ways of doing things. How they governance, how they kind of structure their
Mm.
GRC or their
Yeah.
the way the way of their everyday day-to-day business. Some companies may require 18 passwords and then they might require like multi-factor authentication. You make two of them. So some companies may, hey, we have a simple complex between give us 8 characters and maybe a special character to your password. So it's very different. But like the only thing I say in terms of preparing outside of it was watching YouTube and listening to people who are like kind of in the field.
Hmm.
And sometimes YouTube, a lot of people say, "Hey, it's a lot of how tos, but like you want to try to listen to people who are actually doing the work." And
Yeah.
and I think also listen to people do the work. It's almost like you learn how to pick up the language. There's kind of a language that's spoken between cybersecurity. You hear people, you always say like, "Oh, this I ran this query, but it's noisy." So like, what is noisy? Like noise, like it's just too much information at once. It's like I really started like to like take on the actual you know being
Vernacular
in
and stuff.
the vernacular exactly. So understanding like I already know how to speak like in the tech where we speak a lot of technical jargon, but it people can tell okay, no, this guy he's a techie. He knows kind of his stuff. So helped.
Gotcha. Thanks for that. And
Yeah.
is there a particular part of the course that you found like super valuable, and that can even include me because
Mhm.
you get access to the instructor, so it doesn't have to be me, but that's like part of it. Like
Okay, yeah.
any section that you
No,
might.
I would honestly say the access to you is really amazing because it's not like you're like, hey, I'm recording this video and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people say, hey, yeah, buy my course, and it's like it's rewind plus play, how to ask questions. But you're like a real person who's there. You ask questions. If you DM you, you'll respond, and I can say you're also doing tech support as well. It's like, there's hundreds of people asking questions. Hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? You're trying to like hit and go through and ask, try to answer everyone's questions, in a timely manner, which is good. Um,
Yeah,
and it
and
was really
a lot of people, I will say, like the actual other students are really helpful too, like you especially, and
yeah,
other people like come in and help, so
yeah.
thank you, and
No
everybody else.
problem. Yeah.
Cool. um oh, I meant to ask this like way sooner. Can you tell me how much your salary was in the position you got hired for, and like if you had to negotiate for it at all?
Yeah, so they gave me the range, and I was like, all right, I was like, cool, I felt comfortable with the amount they were asking. So I think we ended at what did it end at? They wanted to give me 115, but I was able to negotiate to like 120.
Oh,
Um,
it's good.
yeah, so I was like, it's cool for me. I mean, I was already for me. I was already in the six figure category, so it wasn't like, oh my God, like six figures. No, for me, I was like, I wanted to get in and learn as much as possible, which is if I'll go back to the interview. So when I finally did get to interview with the hiring managers, it was literally just a conversation. It was just like us talking about, the cyber world and the company. So it was more them trying to sell me to come join the company. Because all I said was, yeah, I told him, so listen, I want to get in, I want to be somewhere where, there's a path of growth and I can learn. And once I said this, oh man, you're at the right place. We have so many things you can do. You can start off doing this, you can start off doing that. And they would they spent the whole time like, just selling me on joining the company.
That's
So I
so
didn't have
good.
to sell them. I didn't have to sell them me join. It was, they spent the time trying to sell me, on me, being a part of an organization. So I was like, it was good. And also I asked them, I said, just to watch you guys, and they told their stories. They weren't in cyber, but someone gave them a chance. They got in a couple of years ago, and now, here they are. But they also like still, moving up and climbing. But there's a lot of opportunity for growth. There is a path for growth. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to touch a lot of things. And I think because the company is not like one company, they deal with a lot of companies because they're MSSP. So it's like it allows you to touch so many tools and touch so many instruments, which is like it's for me,
Yeah.
it's like awesome. Because I'm like, when you go to one company, if they're just an Azure environment, there's Azure. That's all you deal with. But if they're AWS or AWS, if they're Google Cloud, they're Google Cloud. But if you're dealing with companies that doing so many different instruments and tools, you're just gonna you have to absorb and learn
Mm-mm.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually really good. That's like a good substitute for job hopping. Instead, just work at an MSSP, and then you can have a
Yeah.
lot of different exposure.
Yeah, right, exactly. So whenever you quote unquote do decide to kind of move on with your career and you list everything you know in a resume, I'm like, oh wow, you did all of this. I'm like, yeah. So
Yeah. Cool, cool. So for do you have any advice for anyone who might be listening who really wants to, either they're in tech and they want to make the jump into cybersecurity, as someone who just did that, any kind of advice for them? It doesn't have to be like related to the course, but just, anything that comes to mind.
I would say that, just after going through the course and realizing that, if you can, if you're in tech, I think it's really imperative that you start like kind of just keeping like a little diary of your projects because in tech we're doing things all the time. We're from project after project, and you realize that some of the stuff you're doing in tech is already information security based, but it's not just labeled information security. Even from a simple help desk person,
Yeah.
it's information security. And I have a buddy of mine. He's a deputy CISO, and he's a tell me all the time. If you want to get into cybersecurity, you have to realize that you guys are doing the information security work every day, all day. Only thing we're doing from our end is we're implementing it to you guys to do it. So once you realize that you're doing the work, you just have to start just listening as such. Once you start listening as such, it will make sense to people who have the position to bring you on. It's like, you know what, this guy or this lady knows their stuff, and we could, bring him into our organization.
That's really good advice, and I say that a lot. People don't realize it. Like maybe they're doing like identity and access management, or they're
Yeah,
doing some kind of like
yeah,
provision. Yeah, they're just doing it all day, but they don't quite realize
realize.
it. But
Yeah, they don't realize it. Yeah,
yeah,
because
that's great.
you're just not gonna reset anyone's password because they call. You're gonna verify. Hey, is it you? How do I really know it's you? Okay, let me get the Active Directory list. Okay, this is a callback number. Okay, I'm gonna call this number. Is this John? Oh, John is me. Okay, 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 it is you. So now I can reset your password. You're not just gonna call them. Hey, I'm locked on my computer. Okay, Josh. Okay, you say you're Josh. I unlocked it. Now, how do I know that someone stole Josh's computer, but they called in, now they need to get in? I gave him access. So he's like, all these things you don't really, realize that you're doing things.
Yeah, for sure. Seriously, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I really, again, I just want to say thanks so much for agreeing to do this interview. I know for sure there's like a lot of good stuff in here. It's going to help out a lot of people. So, yeah, thanks. Thanks again.
I appreciate it. Appreciate being here.
Yep, yep. All right, we will see you in Discord then.
Thanks.